ultimate on the Vi and get Dean Cato going. Maybe just then the Yasuo can make some plays, but Trajan, only time will tell as we are on to the Rift for game number 1 of the grand finals of CBLOL Split 1.
Loud versus Pain Gaming underway here on a fine Saturday. Pain trying to search for redemption after too many seconds for comfort. Loud trying to start a bit of a dynasty of their own for their second title on the trot here. They will have a normal neutral start to be seen. Some vision has been placed down. They're trying to keep an eye on Karaoke. As we flagged up in the pregame, let's see how Karaoke can keep track of Croc. Maokai ganks are pretty fiendish with a flash twisted advance, and the Vi really wants to be getting things going, really wants to be making an impact. He's been going back to this pick many times in this playoffs, in this split. Let's see if he can get the value that we expect of him.
And something I want to emphasize as well is that the most difficult challenge to a let's annihilate one lane game plan like the one that Pain Gaming has can be if the other team gets a lane going worse earlier on. So if Croc's able to find a big early gank, perhaps for Robo, perhaps for Root, and get summoners, get a kill, and get that lane going already, it means that Karaoke suddenly has to start playing damage control, and he's not able to start snowballing Dean Cato in the mid lane. Now, I don't expect there to be much action in the bottom side of the map early on. Both AD carry starting Cole. I think it is a full read from both sides that all the action is going to be around the top side.
Yeah, this has really been the prevalent strategy now. It was happening in the series with Los Grandes versus Pain as well. It was culls and pots every single game for the bot laners. It didn't stop them finding kills every now and again. They definitely are playing for that bigger spike, accelerating towards that first item as soon as possible. And the other two lanes are going decidedly in Loud's favor for now. Now, will the Ahri still be able to keep control of a Yasuo as this goes forward, or once there are points in the abilities, does Dean Cato have a bit more to say in the 1v1?
Oh, absolutely. Dean Cato will have a lot more to say once already level 3 having the win wall online. The biggest thing is that Yasuo should just never get charmed in this lane. Now, Ahri does have a really easy trade pattern by just W auto. You can proc your electrocute, and it's pretty uninteractive, right? But you can already see Dean Cato's ability to maneuver around the minions will start to make this a little bit more difficult for the Ahri as the lane progresses.
Still shots taking a little bit more skill to be landed from Tinones, as we did flag up the importance of this mid lane matchup. And when you have a Gragas Yasuo is pretty darn important, even more so than Dean Cato's normal role, which was as a bit of a fixer, as we said, trying to solve bad situations, try to get those key engagements in fights to make sure that their Pain can get over the line. Now he is a very central part of their win condition in this early and mid game. Sadly, the Yasuo that should never be hit by a charm has already lost that.
Hey, you got the win wall in the second half of the queue, though. So credit where credit's due, right? True. But yeah, come on, Dean Cato, we gotta be stepping it up if we're gonna get the win in this one, I think. But either way, he's gonna be just fine. He's got the Doran shield. He's just lulling Tinones into a false sense of security. That's what I think.
Yes, Dean Cato is, as we said as well, has never been one to smash the 1v1 to get solo kills. We saw it on the stats. He has one solo kill all split. It's just not how he plays the game. Tinones is the one looking for those kills. You see Maokai upside looking for that gank, help Robo out, who's trading heavily into Weiser. He's burning his health and his mana. Got the counter gank on bot lane. Root has been caught up. There's the prom stun as well. Traps go down, and it's first blood of the series. Karaoke on by.
Yeah, really nicely done from Karaoke, and that's exactly it. Croc not able to get that early gank down. It's Karaoke instead getting the first blood for his bot laner. And we've already talked about, if you want to start breaking open the map with the more mid-game focused composition, be the first one to make it happen. Karaoke, very nicely done.
Certainly is. Gets the flash away from Root as well. Potential for a regank in the near future, as here's the replay. Crossing over into the tri-brush, completely out of vision.
Yeah, just really nicely done from Karaoke to dodge all the vision, and Root on the pushing wave. He's got no cleanse. I mean, everything is a knockup basically, except for the Braum passive, and that's what Root ends up getting hit up by. Very clean from Pain Gaming. Loud just simply not expecting the play.
Exactly. It did cost B-Void and damage their flashes as well, so if Croc is able to find an angle, could be a way to break back into that bot lane, and the kill went onto Karaoke. So the gold kind of leaving that lane and is on the Pain jungler. Let's see where he chooses to invest that time. So far, Pain Gaming have had the start that they would always want. They've got a little bit of a lead growing. All the lanes are stable. They literally have a jinx. You know, the late game is not a big issue for them. But we're watching to see how Dinkato can activate in these early kind of skirmishes around the dragons, around the heralds, when they can get that Gragas Yasuo combo activated.
Croc, however, is already tracking Karaoke on the map and has even started up the dragon. They have called top laners down to the river at 6 minutes, Trajan. Are we going to see a 5v5 for a 6-minute Drake?
This is the Loud special, Hawk. This is the Loud effect. The dragons are now important to the CBLOL. And here we go with the 5 versus 5. Robo and Tinone's trying to gatekeep Dinkato and Wiser on that top side of the river. The rest of Loud still working on the Drake. Evoy only now just moving, still level 5 without the flash, remember. And Loud should be able to find a way in here. Karaoke goes for the steal, comes in, doesn't find it. Croc gets that steal down as Robo comes in with the Darkened Blade. The knockups are flying, finds the chains, and Loud break open this bot lane fight. Both the Pain bot laners will fall as Tinones and Robo chasing for more. But Pain, maybe they have escaped. Karaoke is oh so very low, but he'll be allowed to recall.
Yeah, but Loud, they get everything and then some. 2 quick kills as well as the dragon, and they're going to be able to get their recalls off first as well. Croc maybe could set up for a dive, but Pain Gaming, they're going to get away with the rest of their lives. However, it's a huge play for Loud in the river this early on in the game.
Exactly. Aatrox and Ahri able to control those lanes, able to manage that team fight excellently. We didn't see a Gragas Yasuo combo to turn things around, and Loud now breaking back, getting the goal back for themselves. Here's the replay of that fight. Watch how that the solo laners from Pain, they're just not allowed to join in.
And you can already see how incredibly difficult it is for Pain to dive into this Loud composition. They want to get on top of a single member, and they do somewhat effectively. Yasuo goes backwards into Robo, but once the Aatrox is not CC'd, they couldn't one-shot him. He's healing up, he's hitting up your front line, and that's the power of the Aatrox in these fights. Robo putting the team on his back early on.
Yasuo doesn't really do damage at this point, Hawk. They got the engaged combo onto Aatrox, as you say. Aatrox shrugged it off, did not care one bit, and was laying down massive damage with the Darkened Blades, finding the knockups, getting onto the carries. Robo making great use out of another specialist pick of his. They tried so hard to ban him out, Hawk, and it just didn't work.
And also Karaoke not having the level 6 for that fight as well, not having that additional follow-up CC, I think really made a big difference, and it allowed Loud to come out ahead in that engagement. And I mean, I'm just so concerned about this Pain composition. It feels like it wants to do one thing, but I think that Loud has a composition that's built to prevent that one thing from happening, and it allows them all of the flexibility in the world. You can see them just starting up the Rift Herald, taking it for free, and there's not even a cross map to be had for Pain. They are sending members to the bottom side, but I mean, Seos is probably almost level 6. Root's Flash almost back up. They're gonna play respectfully just in case, but Loud, they're coming to answer, and it's just gonna be a little bit of minions denied and a plate taken back for Pain.
Very respectfully played by Root there. You could see him hovering in that brush between the towers, only now returning to pick up the wave after enough time has passed. Dinkato spotted a mid lane as well, and Loud will avoid losing any more money down in the bot side. The gold's still fairly even, as Loud with the 1 dragon to their name. We need to see how these solo lane matchups will evolve, how the junglers are going to get involved as well, as I still don't imagine we're going to see any 2v2 action in the bot lane. It's going to be really focused around those solo laners now that the ults are there, especially as Wiser.
Hold on.
Shove Robo away. He's managed to get the plate. Dinkato is coming, comes out with the blast code, and this might be a little bit riskier for the Aatrox. He's coming through with the healing, but he's getting belly bumped out, and this 2v1 is just not manageable. Wiser dumping the barrel over the wall for the final kill.
The cross map though, Pain, they're forced off their tower.
Down goes the Herald, 4 versus 3 here. Malkail committed. They'll find the route on to damage and B-Boy. Dinos comes in with the charm. Brom driving back to the teammate, but trying to focus him down. Are the Loud squad, and Seos will succeed. 1 for 0, plus the Herald charging away. They've got some plate gold to pick up at TSA as well.
You know what? Robo might have given up a kill on the top side, but I think more than anything, it just pulled Dinkato away from the actual play. Loud goes incredibly deep, nearly under the tier 2. I don't think Pain expected the long chase, and Loud, they're still able to make it happen. Now, Dinkato is able to deny mid-wave, but I don't think it's really enough. Loud, they're continuing to get gold where it matters, and they're denying it from the biggest members of Pain.
We You can see Root there, topping the gold charts as Dinkato commits the last breath, in fact, onto Ari, really trying to put pressure onto Tinones, who doesn't have the ult for any additional safety. He'll take a nice little health lead there, and we'll stick around in the lane. But as we were saying, the gold all focused onto Root, and we were surprised by how much emphasis is being put onto Root from the Loud draft with the Ari pick, the Maokai, the Tahm Kench, but it is working out thus far. They are going to have that massive Aphelios carry later on.
And the way that Robo plays really reminds me of Huni back in the day. The top laner for SKT and Fnatic and Immortals for a while, like where he looks like he's inting sometimes, and sometimes he is. Sometimes he's a little too far up in the side lane, but he's also very, very good at drawing enemy pressure away from where Loud is actually sending the play, and they get more on the bottom side than they end up losing in top, and it ends up being a favorable play. And maybe I'm giving Robo a little bit too much credit for the mispositioning, whatever you want to call it, but either way, I mean, it is a valuable pressure suck, and it does mean that Pain hasn't really been able to keep up with Loud in the river.
Yeah, who knows whether Robo is actually saying, guys, I'm going to overshove right here, make sure you can make a play, or if it is just Croc going, well, looks like Robo's getting ganked again. I should probably do something somewhere else. So I'm going to come bot, guys. Let's see if we can make this work. Who knows which way around that communication goes. But the fact of the matter is, the Croc is always ready to make that counterplay. And Robo is still going to be fearsome in the fights right now. Wiser did get that kill with Dinketo's help. He's got the Rod of Ages stacking up. We do see the Mythics starting to come online for Pain Gaming. So for a little while at least, they do have a lot more power in the inventory if they want to get scrappy.
Now, despite everything that's happened in this early game, as I think it has been fairly action-packed, the gold is actually incredibly even. Pain and Loud really just trading back and forth, with it only being separated by a couple hundred at any given time. We might see a bit of a fight in the river with Croc clearing this control ward.
Black Cleaver's there, and there's the knockup for Dinkato, delivers the Yasuo on top of the Maokai, but there's Tahm Kench with the Devour to save the jungle. Another re-engage from Tinones, diving, dashing forward onto Karaoke. He's not going to make it out alive, as the Loud mid laner picks up the kill credit. Damage barely scrapes his health away. And Pain, they wanted to leverage their items, but ended up losing out.
I gotta be honest, Trajan, this game feels like it is unwinnable for Pain if they're not even able to take down a target. At 13 minutes into the game, they engage onto the Maokai, but Seos, credit to him, right place, right time, bails out his jungler, and Tino's on the chase down with this Ari. Just so deadly.
It does feel like if Loud execute their team comp correctly, if they use their champions for their intended purpose,
if they so press Tahm Kench R, they win, right? Like, that's what it feels like.
Literally, if you play the champion that you drafted, you'll probably win. You're just such a good situation, such a great compositional matchup that Loud has put together for themselves. Pain with a mountain to climb in game one, as the lead for gold finally has swung more definitively into Loud's pocket. Plus, they got that second dragon as Croc looking to find more gold on the top side. Wiser bumped into the wall by the Maokai's Robo, trying to find a way in. He's not the healthiest, but he does have that healing comes through, pops the World Ender. A flash away from Wiser will get him to safety. Karaoke was there to help just in case. So it's not more gold for Loud just now, but it's threat onto Wiser.
And I want to bring up as well that was the chase down from Tinones without Root even being in the fight. And normally Root is going to be the one that can get gobbled up by that Tahm Kench and just deal massive amounts of AoE on this Pain Gaming that's going to want to run forward into him. So, I mean, the concerns for the Pain composition run deeper. And look, I respect the spice. I always do. Pain, game one of the best of 5 grand finals. Let's pull out something crazy. Let's be daring. And I'm here for it, but you got to look at the champions that Loud is locking in. And I think when Tahm Kench goes down on 3, I don't think we can commit to the Vi Gragas Yasuo at that point. And it's just, I don't know, very awkward for Pain. And I think it was a great draft from Loud. Credit to them. But this game one just looks like it's going to be such a challenge for Pain Gaming.
Yeah, we've got maybe 5 or 10 more minutes of leeway for Dinkato to work there. He has got the CS lead. He has been following up on the engages, but just hasn't been able to make them stick because of the Tahm Kench, because of the comp he's playing against. So we'll give him a little bit more time to get cooking on this Yasuo. We'll see if it's enough to actually take control of this first game.
Maybe we're still preheating the oven. Maybe we're still preheating the oven here on Summoner's Rift for Dinkato.
It's working. We haven't put the composition in yet. The Gragas Yasuo is, it's paired up, it's on the tray, it's ready to go in, but we're not really ready to give it a
Yeah.
full run here just yet as the Herald
All right.
drops into mid lane for Loud. They're going to crack this mid lane tower. I don't think Pain's going to really have anything to contest this with.
Yeah, we'll see if the chicken marinates the way we want it to. Right now, I don't think it is. Loud, they're just sweeping all the objectives on the map. That's actually first tower of the game going down in mid. It will be answered by Dinkato, but I mean, I think that's the big story. The gold, as we've highlighted, relatively close, maybe a little bit Loud favored, but the big thing is the 2 dragon lead that Loud has. They're going to start daring Pain to fight into them, or better yet, be able to opt out of any bad situation that Pain might be able to put them in, and not give away that big team fight that Pain so desperately feels like they need.
And to call back that stat you mentioned in the pregame, Hawk, it was a Loud lead in gold at 15 minutes, and they almost never lose from this position. They are excellent closers. When they are in control of the game, they will always drive it home, and that is the position they put themselves in this game once more. So they have that dragon lead, they've got the gold lead, and they have this compositional advantage that we have flagged up. Everything is in place for them to take a pretty conclusive game 1, and it might be about how Pain adapts and how they can try and deal with that as this series goes forward, which will be the real story here. Dragon live in 4 seconds, Loud once again first on the scene.
And it feels funny to say, right, that Loud, we talk about all this volatility, but they're actually incredibly consistent at not giving over windows to opposing teams. I think that's made them so incredibly good. It made their volatility actually very calculated. And so Loud, with this lead, as you mentioned, their consistency at actually not allowing teams to get an advantage back into the game has been fantastic. So now Pain, with this dragon on the map, I think they're just going to try to flip it. I think this is the game right here, Trajan. It's Loud first to the play, but Pain, they're going to want to answer. Look for karaoke on the engage. The target selection will be impactful.
Kato and Weiser this time with the Pain roster. They're not being separated off this time, but Tinones is on a deep flank around the corner. Could be very disrupting if he gets onto B-Boy, if he threatens the jungler as well. Down goes the Dragon, below 4k. Croc and Karaoke contending. Tinones into the pit, commits onto Weiser, finds the Charmer's Robo, diving forward, and this time Karaoke picks it up, and now Croc tries to find onto Dinkato. He's been exhausted, he's been picked apart in the 5 versus 1. Seos diving forward, Tinones again on the Charm to keep it rolling as Robo charging forward, but he's fallen down to B-Boy. The reset to there, and Root has to save the day. Gale forces in, knocks down B-Boy, and now is chasing down the remaining members of Pain.
Oh, Root gets it done in the end. Damage is now all alone under the tower. This Brahm's not long for this world. Root can just tank it up. He can even kill the tower. It's an ace for Loud in the river, and that's the fight that they wanted. Pain Gaming, they may have prevented Soul Point, Trajan, but I feel like that's gonna firmly break open the game and put it in Loud's hands.
The fights are too clean for Loud in this game 1, Hawk. That's 2 dragon fights, 2 big team fight dubs under the belt, and now they've got more gold. Now they've got so much onto Root. This is the replay.
And the initial play doesn't look terrible for Pain Gaming, but the big thing is that Dinkato goes just a little bit too deep on this Yasuo and isn't really able to get into this fight, ends up getting taken down early on. Now, in the ensuing 4v5, I thought Loud was going to roll them over, but look at B-Boy's AoE with these rockets. I thought for a split second, Trajan, that he might be able to carry. Unfortunately, Root says anything you can do, I can do better. A triple kill for the Aphelios comes through, and this is exactly what we said, that well-rounded Loud roster, even when they can't destroy the top lane in the early game, when they can't get this crazy big advantage, they've got Root to bail them out.
Exactly, that safe and stable influence, that reliable late game carry who is now 5-1-2, 2 full items completed before the 20-minute mark. This Aphelios is going to be a nightmare for Pain to deal with. And as you said, we saw a flash of what B-Boy can do if he's allowed to run wild in the fights. He's got 2 items of his own, so Loud's going to have to be careful. They're going to have to be calculated in their aggression. But I think they are still playing exactly how we expected them to. They're opting into a fight. They say, we know we have the advantage. We know we have positioning. We can just win in a straight-up engagement. And both times it has been true.
I feel like Loud just knows that their champions are kind of just stronger than the ones that Pain Gaming has. I mean, I think Aatrox's generally going to be more useful than this Gragas in the extended fight. Same thing with Tinone's Ahri as opposed to the Yasuo and most certainly the Maokai. And I feel for B-Boy. He's probably wishing he had a Tom Kench by his side to bail him out, or something like a Lulu when unpicked or banned in this game. And the Braum has done a good job of frontlining for the team, but it's just not been tanky enough to prevent the Loud Death Ball from coming through.
Robo commits the World Ender, threatens onto B-Boy, but there's Wise with a cast back, and B-Boy's taken down by Root again! Aphelios bails them out as now Karaoke is left in the lurch, and Robo finds another. There's the double for Root as well. Loud, it's another fight started by Pain, but won by Loud.
And we are going to get a pause coming through, unfortunately. I know you all are sitting on the edge of your seats. Maybe not for this game one, though, as Loud is firmly in control. I'm going to say not even in control. They're looking like they've got a winning advantage, Trajan. The Baron going to go over almost certainly when we get out of the pause. Hopefully isn't too terribly long, but I mean, Pain, again, it feels like they're feeling the desperation. They realize that their champions are starting to fall behind in this game. We may as well try to do something. Unfortunately, Robo is just a little bit too hard to keep.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a gap going on right now, but I think it is mainly in the picks. And maybe if you're Pain, you just think, well, you know what? We tried something. We tried this specific composition. We don't try and use it very often. It's not really worked out. Loud had our number. They had the counter draft, and they've been executing perfectly on it. So, game one, we throw those ones away, no problem. We just go back into game number 2, and I would like to see them go back to a more standard Pain style, where I think they really can contest Loud in their own way. As we are back into the game, and the Baron's already happening at 21 minutes, Hawk. It feels like a bit of a done deal.
It is feeling like a bit of a done deal. Look, Pain Gaming, they were marinating the chicken for a while, but I think they realized that the chicken was actually expired for 2 weeks, and it's complete garbage.
Yeah.
Who let them cook, man? I don't know.
Yeah, when you take your chicken out and you see that it's raw or just fucking moldy, you don't eat it. You put it in the bin. You just throw it out. Start again. It happens.
Exactly.
You know, we move forward. And now you're just looking at the 7-1 Aphelios. You're looking at Robo getting out of that situation, of all situations. It's just time to move on.
You know what? Next game, maybe let's make some classic spaghetti or a nice grilled cheese. Something really easy to cook. Doesn't require too much time and preparation. All it needs is a nice loving touch and a good sense of taste. That's what I'm really looking for from Pain Gaming in game 2.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we want. So for now, for game number 1, they do still have this very linear style, and if they can maybe catch Loud sleeping, if they can catch them side pushing without enough vision, as Robo, has been wont to do in his time, or they can catch Root pushing up without enough defense, maybe they can find the picks to break their way back in, but the 5v5s are just a no-go. I don't want to see them opting into those again without some crazy circumstances.
And again, it feels like the only window that they might have is probably Robo getting picked on a side lane, but we saw what happened last time when they tried to get Robo, and this is the thing about Loud. When they get ahead, they know how far they can push up.
Actually went really badly when they tried to do that. It's a fair point. When they tried to pick Robo, it went awfully fun. They lost 3 kills in a Baron, so perhaps that is not the way.
Yeah, no. Like, what is the way? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's so hard, man. Like, Loud just, you give them an inch, they take a mile. And that's something I want to add, like, that they have really cleaned up over the course of the split. It felt like early on they were getting leads, but then they were throwing a little bit. They weren't quite clean on where they wanted to play on the map, and Robo maybe was getting picked a little bit too much. But Loud, they've really adapted their playstyle to enable these X-Factor players to be the crackheads that they might want to be. And Root knows he can just frontline with no threat of getting picked off, because worst case scenario, you've got Tom Kench to bail you out.
Exactly. Karaoke managed to make it into that Raptor camp unseen, but there's nothing he can do with it. Oh no, the engage comes through from Croc onto Weiser, and Gragas has to flee back to the tower. The Braum ult does do a good job at slowing down Loud, but they will still find the structure. Karaoke still deep on the flank, but it's all damage onto a Maokai. It's not a priority target.
Yeah, and that's 3 ults burned from both sides, but Loud, they get the positioning over the Dragon. It's going to be Dragon Soul Point going over uncontested. So Pain critically, again, they got the last Dragon. It's not a 24-minute Ocean Soul, but Loud, they're just accruing even more and more advantages.
They are now at the 24-minute mark, move into that Soul Point with a 7,000 gold lead to their name, 12-4 in kills. It's been all Loud in game number 1. All they have to do now is knock on the base. The power and power plate has worn off, so the pushing will be a little harder, pushing into Jinx is easier said than done. Gragas as well can clear up fairly easily. Then Kedo in the side lanes can hoover up those waves to try and accelerate to a point where he is useful. He's just completed the Bloodthirster, so he's got a lot more survivability, but the raw damage still isn't massive.
No, it's really not. And I mean, even with the Bloodthirster, sure, there is more survivability for this Yasuo, but that is a 3-item Aphelios and a 2-item Robo and Tinones that are going to be hitting on you. I just don't really think that there's much surviving for this Yasuo. You don't have the same defensive utility that Loud has in their composition. And Trajan, I really just wonder now, at this point in the game, where Pain's minds are at. Because I wonder if part of it, they were feeling like, hey, we went late a bunch of times against Loud, including a 55-minute game when we played them last, and we weren't able to win in that protracted fight. I wonder if the read was, let's try to go a little bit early to mid-game against them and contest them at their own game. But so far, it hasn't really worked, and it calls into question what the plan might be going forward. Do we go back? Do we try to do the same thing?
Oh my word.
Okay.
Down goes Robo. There's, I guess, step number 1 of that plan. Find the picks, and Robo did hang around just a little bit too long. And maybe there's not as much raw damage as some other builds, but there's certainly enough with 4 of them there.
Yeah, well, they're able to get 1. It is still not a very tanky Aatrox if he's not able to lifesteal up from the World Ender, but Loud should be able to hold everything. It's just a pick and not much else. Unless...
They were thinking about it onto Root, but he fires back with a massive Infernum. Dinkato sliding forward onto Croc, trying to burn down that tree as Root Gale forces in, but he puts himself in Vi range, devoured up by Seos, and it's another re-engage from Loud. B-Boy so low now, has to play with so much range as Dinkato flashes out of the arms of Tinones. Seos continuing to dive forward as Tinones as well, still on the chase. But Pain, they'll get away with what is still a 1-for-0 counting Robo, I suppose, at the end of it.
And look at this. Robo teleported up to the top lane. Loud. They might be able to drop back to the Baron in 40 seconds. Pain will be out on the map in time. And okay, it's just going to be a recall. They're not going to try to force their tempo, but Loud in the 4v5. They're flexing their muscles. Pain Gaming, despite the pick, just so far behind.
You could see them threatening, and at least Pain Gaming are trying to leverage that comp still. Karaoke trying to find the ult onto critical targets after, Root Gale forces forward and thinks maybe he's out of position. Nope, Seos is there, can't be out of position, while the Tahm Kench still has his ultimate up. So many times this game, we have seen Seos bail out the important members of Loud. He is playing this Tahm Kench to perfection, and now he's making more aggressive plays as Tinones commits the Spirit Rush, doesn't find the charm, dashes back to his team as B-Boy will say no thank you, we're not looking for the fight right now.
Great dodge by Damage to get out and not get taken down right there. Robo will find him, but I think he should be okay.
He's on the front line again, but this time has a team to back him up. Damage will take just a little bit of poke as B-Boy cleans out the mid lane wave. Dinkato all the time is in the bot wave. He does have TP, and he's committing to it now. But Loud, they ain't even started the Baron right. They've got that summon a spell for free.
And Loud, they're just playing with so much confidence. I love how you mentioned Root's positioning because it's so true. Root, he gale forced in at the Vi, knowing that Tahm Kench was behind him. And I know I've talked about it a lot, but this Tahm Kench pick from Loud has just been fantastic.
Oh, they find onto Root again. Why is it followed up? But there's the Devour. Now Pain, we've seen it once again. Can they deal with Robo? Infernum ult again. Burns across the Pain members. And a 5v5 once again is catastrophic for Pain Gaming. In the first game of this series, B-Boy, the lone carry, the last to go down. Another ace for the defending champions. And they have their pick of the map.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to drop back to Baron and Soul. They might even try to end the game. 30 seconds still on the death timers. 28 and a half minutes in. I was just talking about the Tahm Kench, and once again, Root gets bailed out. No big deal. Seos pocketing the big carry for Loud as they take game number 1.
It is going to be an uneasy feeling in the stomachs of Pain fans. They have been here before, Hawk. This feels mighty similar to 2022 Split 2, where Loud completely swept them under the rug in the finals. And this series is